HYBE panic. Jimin suddenly disappeared. Jungkook acted first. The morning should be normal. HYBE has put together a packed schedule for an important dress rehearsal ahead of the special that will be broadcast globally. But an uproar ensued when Park Jimin, one of the brightest members of BTS, suddenly did not show up at the rehearsal location, cannot be contacted by management. The entire production team was immediately haunted by anxiety because Jimin is never absent without notice. To make things even more stressful, a call from HYBE staff to Jimin's cell phone went unanswered, and the Weverse messages sent to him remained unreadable for more than an hour. For an artist as professional as Jimin, this is completely out of the ordinary. Amid the panic of the manager and staff, Jungkook, who was already at the training site, canceled his own training session and said sternly, "Let me find him." Without waiting for permission, Jungkook immediately left HYBE's studio and got into his personal car. Some witnesses stated that Jungkook's expression was very serious, even a little anxious. He apparently contacted someone on his cell phone several times during the trip, while the manager could only stare in bewilderment, as none of them knew where Jimin might go. One of HYBE's senior staff was even heard saying, "If Jungkook himself had been agitated like this, there must have been something very unusual going on." About 2 hours after Jungkook's departure, one of the staff found a piece of handwritten notes left in the piano corner of the rehearsal room. The letter was written by Jimin and contained only a few sentences that made the hair stand on end. "I need some time. Don't look for me. It's not about work." As soon as the letter was found, HYBE immediately sounded an internal alarm. They began reviewing CCTV footage, tracking down vehicles that Jimin might have used, and contacting emergency contacts from his family. But it was all nil. No one knew where Jimin had gone. About 5 hours after he left, Jungkook returned to the HYBE building. This time, he brought good news, and his face showed deep relief. According to witnesses, Jungkook walked into the management office and simply said, "He's safe. He just needs some alone time." When asked where Jimin was, Jungkook did not give a detailed answer. He just smiled and said that's where he goes when he wants to write. The staff finally breathed a sigh of relief, although HYBE still did not issue an official statement regarding Jimin's disappearance that day. Some ARMY who learned of this incident through staff leaks regretted the company's silent attitude, but many felt grateful that Jimin was at least in the right hands. Jungkook, rumors immediately spread among fans. Some theories that stick out include: 1. Jimin experienced emotional exhaustion, especially after a busy schedule and pressure from the media. 2. He or she may be finishing a personal project, such as a solo song or piece of writing, and would like to be alone without distractions. 3. Some believe that Jimin and Jungkook are involved in a secret project, and Jimin's disappearance is actually part of a larger plan that has yet to be revealed to the public. One big fanbase account wrote, "This incident shows that Jimin is not just an artist, but a human being with limits and taste." And Jungkook? He proved that he was more than just a colleague. He's a crutch. When this news spread, ARMY reactions around the world were mixed. Hashtags like #WhereIsJimin and #Jungkook to the rescue were trending on Twitter. Many expressed panic that their idol disappeared without news. However, most of them were moved when they found out that Jungkook was the one who finally found and calmed Jimin. Fan art depicting Jungkook holding Jimin's hand in the middle of an empty field began to appear, complete with the quote, "You found me when I was lost." Nobody knows exactly how the moment of the reunion happened. In addition to the two people who are really involved in it, Jimin and Jungkook, however, from a variety of indirect recognition HYBE staff, as well as pieces of the story circulating among fan sites, a picture began to form. It is said that Jungkook followed Jimin to a location that was quite familiar to both of them, a small studio on the banks of the Han River. It used to be a private vocal rehearsal location that they used secretly in the early days of BTS, long before the world knew the name Jungkook. Once Jungkook arrived, Jimin was sitting alone, facing an old piano that seemed to have not been used for a long time. He was wearing a dark hoodie, a hat pulled low, and lighted earphones playing soft instrumental music. His hands were silent on the piano keys, but did not press a single note. Jungkook didn't speak right away. He just sat next to her. After a few minutes of silence, Jimin said quietly, "I'm tired, Guk." Not because of his job, but because it all felt so fast, like I couldn't breathe. Jungkook did not answer with words. He just grabbed Jimin's arm, tightened it. Then in a barely audible voice he said, "You don't have to go through this alone." When Jimin finally returned to HYBE the next day, the atmosphere was very different. He looked calm, but his eyes kept a lot of things unspoken. He did not apologize, nor did he give a lengthy explanation to the staff. He said only briefly, "Thank you for worrying about me. I just need one day." Interestingly, the only person who actually received a warm hug from Jimin that morning was Jungkook, and on that very day, Jimin began to write something in his notebook, which, according to leaks from one of the creative staff, could be the lyrics of a new song. Whether by chance or not, the name of the personal project was handwritten, Lost and Found. HYBE officially remains without issuing a public statement regarding this incident. But the internal staff began to reevaluate the emotional support system for their artists. It is said that the psychology and counseling team is now specially prepared to assist members who are undergoing a period of rest and career transition. In fact, some ARMY suspects that the events of Jimin's disappearance will be the opening story of the upcoming documentary, because one of the documentation crew was seen following Jungkook as he returned to HYBE's office after the incident. This event touched many hearts. Moreover, Jimin and Jungkook's relationship that has been the center of attention of fans, both those who believe in their emotional closeness and those who see it as a fan service narrative, now it's like getting real proof that their connection goes far beyond just a stage. Comments like this flood social media. Jungkook knows where to look for Jimin, knows when to talk and when to be quiet. It wasn't just a friend. Jungkook is not just a fan FIC moment. They are real stories about unconditional support. After this incident, speculation arose that there would be an emotional duet song from Jimin and Jungkook that was worked on secretly. A source in HYBE mentioned that the studio where they used to record together is already scheduled to close for the next few weeks. Some ARMY believed that Jimin was composing a very personal piece, perhaps about a sense of loss, of escape. And that support can only come from someone who truly understands her. And who else but Jungkook? Meanwhile, fans began moving the hashtags #WeFoundYouJimin and #ThankYouJungkook in tribute to their bond. The story of Jimin's disappearance and Jungkook's quick reaction is not just hot news among the ARMY, but it's also a reminder of the depth of relationships between BTS members that are often hidden behind stage glitters and camera highlights. For many, this incident may only be seen as a minor disruption in the schedule of a major artist. However, for those who followed Jimin and Jungkook's journey from the beginning, this is clear proof that their bond was built not from the demands of the industry. It's a friendship that grows through time, pain, and understanding. HYBE may panic. The manager may be busy looking for a solution, but Jungkook knows one thing for sure. When Jimin disappears, he can't just wait. He chose to move, to seek, and most importantly, to accompany, and perhaps, among all the sometimes too fast and pressing craziness of the entertainment world, what Jungkook did that night was not an impulsive act, but rather the most sincere form of love. To be present when needed, even without being asked. As time goes on, this incident will probably be forgotten by the media. But for the ARMY, the night Jimin disappeared and Jungkook searched for him was a night that confirmed one thing. In the heart of a BTS member, there is always a safe place for others. And it's a story worth remembering forever. Sometimes, you don't need to speak to be understood. Sometimes, being there is enough. To Jimin, to Jungkook, and to all those who once felt lost, but were finally found.